Welcome to Therapy in the Great Outdoors, a podcast about the business and practice of nature-based pediatric therapy of all kinds. If you are a nature-loving therapist who works with children, this podcast will help you start taking your work outdoors into nature and help you grow a profitable nature-based therapy practice or program that connects children to nature and changes their lives and yours forever. I'm your host, the ever honest, always 100% real, Laura Park Figueroa. I have been a pediatric occupational therapist for over 20 years. But 7 years ago, I almost left the field entirely. I was so burned out. And nature-based therapy is what saved me. It reignited my love of my work, and I saw profound changes in the children that I was working with. I'm the founder of Outdoor Kids OT and the creator of the TGO approach, an evidence-based framework for nature-based pediatric therapy services. I've helped dozens of pediatric therapists start and grow successful nature-based practices through my business coaching and online programs, the latest of which is the Therapy in the Great Outdoors community, TGO for short. TGO is an online membership site with loads of resources to support you every step of the way as you start and grow your nature-based therapy work. You can find out more at therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com. Working outdoors with children can be a wild ride. Are you ready for the adventure? Let's jump in. Welcome to episode 10 of Therapy in the Great Outdoors. Now, this was supposed to be an episode where I review a research article. However, the research article that I chose, which is an incredible article, I don't actually want to give away the title yet. It will be coming soon. It is a complex article. It took me a lot more time to read it than I thought it would, and I could not get it ready by today, and I want to have an episode out for you every week for a little bit now, and so I am going to take a little bit of a turn to focus more on the business and programmatic aspects of running a nature-based therapy practice or program. Now, I say this often, it is worth repeating again. Even if you are not running a business, if you are not running a nature-based practice as your main source of income, as a business that you are doing either mostly part-time or even full-time, this information is still relevant to you because if you are, for example, a school-based therapist who wants to run a nature-based camp during the summer, you still need to have most of this stuff in place that I am going to talk about today. So I don't intend it to overwhelm you. I do intend it to give you a resource of actually thinking through the logistics involved in running a nature-based practice, because there are lots of things that you need to consider to run an effective program. Now, the 4 systems or areas that we are going to talk about are mindset, operations, marketing, and finances. These are the 4 areas that I believe, and I have proven, I guess you could say, through many people taking my Business Bedrocks group coaching program, these areas are foundational to the success of your nature-based practice or program. So let's get right at it. Let's start with mindset. Mindset, when I say a system around mindset, that can be a little bit weird, right? To think about having a system around mindset. And what I mean when I say that you need systems around the area of mindset for yourself is that you need a plan, a go-to system for how you are going to first continuously work on your mindset, because as you put yourself out there offering a service or running a business, you are continually going to hit mindset blocks. And anytime you try to do something new in your business, you are going to have mindset blocks that get in the way of you accomplishing that next level in your business. So I want you to have a plan for how you are going to continuously work on mindset, but also a system for how you're going to take action when mindset starts to derail you, because that is inevitable. So a few ideas here are reading books that work on your own personal development or leadership. That could be spiritual practices that you do. That could be reading business books that relate to leadership, things like that. Also, having self-care practices. What do you do to take care of yourself as you are running this practice or program? And then finally, a community is so necessary. A business best friend, someone that you can reach out to, a community of people, maybe in a group coaching program. That's another place that I have found it in the past. And having a community around you when you hit those mindset blocks, a safe community in order to share what's going on with you so that you can get support. Because I really believe that mindset issues fester when they are not brought to light, when they are not shared in community with other people, when we retreat and go alone and go into our own little cocoon, right? Now, there may be a time for that. There may be a time for that to take your own time away and think and reflect and in a healthy way. But I think you can probably relate to this, right? Like a lot of times when we are experiencing hard emotions, there's some sense of, I think of Brene Brown's work, like there's some sense of shame around the emotions that we feel or the mindset issues that we're having. And so we tend to retreat and not share them with people when really that's what we need to do is share them in community with others to get support. So those are some like just basic ideas for some ways that you could have systems in place around mindset in order to really be able to accomplish things with your program or your practice, and really impact more lives. I will say too, Carlin Neek's work on, she's an OT who is in the mental health arena, and she speaks a lot about acceptance and commitment therapy. And I did an episode with her on the Mind Your OT Business podcast, which I'll link in the show notes here if you want to reference it. And she talks a lot about acceptance and commitment. So it's like the idea of accepting that those feelings are there, that your emotions are there when you're in a low place or having mindset issues, and then committing to taking small action. So that's a great example of a system, right? Because you can accept that those hard times are going to come, that those low days are going to come as a business owner or a program director. And then you can commit to taking small action. So maybe you just know that when you have those low days, you need to get out in nature for a while, things like that. So I hope that was helpful. And let's move on to operations. So I start with mindset all the time because I feel like that is key, right? That's where we need to start. But operations means anything that you have to do in your business to make the business run. Like, how do you do what you do? How do you deliver the services that you deliver in your business? So this is where I think most new nature-based practice owners get very overwhelmed because there is a lot here. So just a brain dump off the top of my head, and there's probably more than this, to be honest. You have to think about how you're going to intake clients, service delivery, documentation, discharging, managing supplies, emergency procedures, meeting legal requirements for your business, land permitting, hiring a team, communicating with your team, getting volunteers, recruiting, getting volunteers to help with your groups. If you're going to have students involved, you'll need systems around having students. If you want to have clinical, I struggle because I'm trying to use words that relate to any profession, not just OT, but we call it fieldwork in OT. So, or clinical experiences or internships, maybe in other professions. My advice in this area is simply to document everything. It's going to feel messy and overwhelming at first. There is no way around that. Now, you can have people help you with this, right? For it to be better than it would be by yourself. But document everything that you do. Anything that is a repeatable process in your business, like intaking clients, document exactly what needs to happen to intake a client. And then that way, when you're ready to hand things off to an admin person or to another employee, there is a system documented. So those are just a few of the things for operations, and it's going to differ with every business, right? So in my practice at Outdoor Kids OT, we have systems in place around how we place kids into groups. That is a whole system that we have in place because we do mostly group therapy in my practice. So those are some things that you need to consider. And I would highly recommend documenting, and also just get help. I think a lot of times we try to do everything on our own early in our business or practice. And if you can get help from other people, it is going to save you so much time and headache. I promise you. All right, marketing. Marketing is next because once you have some of those early systems and operations in place, you need to move on to how are you actually going to get a steady flow of people to enroll in your programs at your nature-based practice. So, what I'm speaking of here is the customer journey. How are you going to find the people initially and then build a relationship with them and eventually convince them to give you money for a service that you provide to become your customer? So, from the very first point of when they find out about your business until they become a customer can often be many years. I mean, I've had people in my practice who knew about our practice for months or even years before they actually enrolled their child. Or in my online work doing business coaching, I've had people who have known me for a very long time, for years before they enroll in one of my group programs. So that is just something you need to think about. And it's hard to track. I'll be honest. It's really hard to track this. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe other business owners have better systems in place around this than I do, but I think sometimes it's really hard to know for a customer once they become your customer to really know. It's kind of foggy in their mind, right? They just know that somehow they came to know you, like you, trust you, and want to believe that you're an expert. I always add expertise onto that know, like, trust thing, because I think you can know, like, and trust someone and not think they're an expert and not give them money for a service. So, for a customer though, it can be foggy, like that process. It's not a linear process. I guess it is a linear process, but it's hard to define, right? It's hard for a customer to say, well, I found out about you in August of 2020, and then I watched all your content online, and then I enrolled in your free thing that you did, and then so if you have an email marketing platform in place, you can sometimes kind of track people's journey that way. But I personally think sometimes it can be hard to know. All I can say is that it is a lot of work in the world today to earn the trust of customers and to build that know, like, and trust value and demonstrate that you're an expert in something and have them give you money for it. I really hesitate to say this because I think a lot of entrepreneurs are out there saying it's so easy. It's like you can do things automatically. And it's a lot of work. Marketing is your main job as a business owner or as a program director. It is your main job. You have to be the one behind the scenes believing in the product or the service and convincing people that it is worth their hard-earned money. And it takes a lot of work to do this. The online space is very busy and is very loud right now with so many people screaming at us. I mean, I can't be the only one who scrolls through Instagram and gets very overwhelmed at how loud it is. Just like, the next video starts and someone's screaming or there's like music and all the things. So I think we just need to be aware of that and really be thinking about where are our customers and how we want to meet them in those types of environments. So there's lots of ways though besides online. So I'll go through some here that I want you to consider as you're growing your practice or program or starting out. The first thing is consistency with branding and print marketing. So I see a lot of times that nature-based practices use all different kinds of font, all different kinds of colors, all different kinds of images. You want there to be some consistency with your branding and your print marketing so that people can identify your business by that branding. The second thing is that I think a lot of nature-based practices are not using email marketing to the extent that they can. So I did an email marketing episode entitled Email Marketing for Your Nature-Based Practice, and that was episode 5. So if you go back just 5 episodes before this one, there's a whole episode on email marketing. So I won't go into detail about that here. But what I will say is that it is a very powerful way to build connection and relationship with your customers before they become your customers, with potential customers before they become your customers. So go back and listen to that episode if you are confused what I mean when I say email marketing. Now, obviously, we also want to do social media marketing in our busy world of everyone being on social media. Now, it's this weird thing, right? Because as nature-based practitioners, we really value being off of social media and off of tech. But I do want us to think about social media. I know that people can have a love-hate relationship with it, but I really do think that if you think about it as building relationships with your potential customers, it can really help you. That mindset shift helps with email marketing as well, but especially with social media where things can move so fast and it's a very busy place. Like, what are you putting out there on social media for your business that communicates value to your ideal customer in the online space? So that could mean a variety of different things depending on what your nature-based practice or program is, but really thinking about what you're putting out there on social media to attract people to your business and to establish that expertise and that know, like, and trust value. And then finally, I really think that in-person marketing still has a huge place for us as nature-based practice or program owners. I think that outdoor program events or family-friendly events are a great place to make those in-person connections. There was a really great post, and I can't remember who posted it, but there was a really great post inside of the Therapy in the Great Outdoors community about tables, like what to put on a table at a marketing event like that. So go check that out if you are thinking about doing some sort of in-person event and want ideas. There were lots of comments on it. A lot of people weighed in with really great ideas about how to kind of set up an in-person marketing table at an outdoor event like that, where there's different programs being highlighted and families may be there to check out different programs, like a summer camp fair or something like that. All right, I looked it up. It was Rebecca Wad who posted this in the TGO community, and the title of the post is Marketing Table Activity. So if you go to the TGO community and search Marketing Table Activity in the search bar, you can find that post and look at all of the comments there that people made about that topic, which were really great ideas. And that's the one thing I'm loving about, this is an aside, but this is the one thing I'm loving about the TGO community is that it's searchable. So anything that you want to search in the entire platform, you can find it by just typing in the search bar at the top and it will pull it right up for you. So that is a great aspect of the community there. All right, let me go back to my notes here. And the last thing I want to say on the marketing front is about website design. So I think a lot of times we design our websites and they're very overwhelming for customers. So the main thing I'm going to say here is think about ease of use for your customer. I had a really good friend of mine who I knew would be honest with me look over my website when I first designed it for my practice and tell me what was confusing to her or what she didn't understand. I actually had my sister do it too because I knew she'd be honest with me. So that is a great way to have someone outside of your practice, right? Like outside of your therapist brain, look at your website and give you feedback from someone who would not be a therapist looking at it. They can kind of model being a potential customer for you and give you advice for what to change. All right, the last area is finances. So this is the area that I think most therapists really struggle with and feel the most intimidated by or the most scared by. I'm not really sure if that's the right word, scared, but just, I think sometimes we put our heads in the sand and our businesses suffer for it. So you need to become financially literate as a business owner or program director. A business that is not profitable is not a business. It is a hobby. I have said this so many times. If you have listened to any of my episodes on my old podcast or heard me on social media, you're probably sick of hearing me say this, but I will say it until I die. If your business does not make money, you are not a business. You are a hobby. You are having a hobby, okay, or a philanthropy on the side. Your business has to be able to make money. And this is even if you are a nonprofit, okay? In order to survive and to continue serving families, your business must be able to make money. Nonprofits are just different in how they can get money to fund services, right? They can apply. For-profit businesses actually can apply for some grants. Now, that is a misnomer, and maybe someday I'll do a podcast episode on that in the future, probably when I'm trying to do it, because I often make podcast episodes based on what's going on in my own business. But nonprofits just differ in how they can get money in to fund services. So they generally have more access to grants and they can fundraise, have people give on top of what they pay for a program to fund other services. And then the people can get a tax write-off for it. But nonprofits still have to make money too. They have to be able to pay their people and they have to be able to pay for all of the things needed to run operations and have supplies and rent space for services and all of those things. So it is a misnomer that nonprofits can operate with no profit. It's not true. They have to be able to balance their budget and pay for everything. So in the finances area, I want you to really learn about budgeting, learn how to budget your money in your business. And for me, that kind of came after I actually did some of these other things that I'm going to mention here. But the book I always recommend is Profit First. Just read Profit First. Try not to get overwhelmed. Find an accountant to help you. And that is a really great system. It has saved my business so many times, that the system from Profit First. Now, if you have listened to me before, you know I don't do it exactly as the book says, and I teach how I do it in my programs, which I think is a vastly simplified version, which makes a lot more sense for smaller businesses, but I can't get into all that here. So I'll just say Profit First. If you are starting or growing a nature-based business, highly recommend that book to help you manage the money in the business. Now, other things you need to consider with finances are meeting legal obligations. So I learned a really hard lesson on this when I moved to Wisconsin last year, because it's not that I was ignoring it. It's actually, I was just super overwhelmed with life, because I was like in the middle of my PhD program, moving cross country and still running a business in California. And it was just a huge life transition. But what happened was I didn't know that because I had moved to Wisconsin, I now needed to register my business as a foreign entity in Wisconsin, because I was an employee of my business in California, but I was living in Wisconsin. And so they had to do withholding from my paycheck through my business for Wisconsin rather than California. And it literally did not occur to me. So just meeting the legal obligations for finances in your business is really important, because I ended up having to pay, I don't remember how much it was several $1,000s, like back tax, because I hadn't done it early enough. I did it like 9 months after I moved or something. The other thing that I learned a lesson on when I moved was sales tax. So this is something else to think about. Services are, well, I'm not an accountant, so everything I say here, take it with a grain of salt and just know that I'm not an expert on finances. But sales tax, in my experience, what I have seen is that services, so if you're providing a therapy service, services are often exempt from sales tax. You don't have to charge sales tax and pay it back to your state or municipality. But you need to check, because sometimes tax is required for different things that we offer. For me, the way I learned this was my digital products. So I have digital products that I sell online for nature-based practice owners, and those usually do require sales tax. In California, they don't tax digital products, which is shocking, because California taxes everything else like astronomically. Like everything I've heard is like, get your business out of California if you can, because the tax implications are so huge for a business. So my business isn't leaving California. It's staying open. But I've just heard that in entrepreneur spaces. And I think most of us have even seen that, right? In the media, we've heard of a lot of businesses leaving California and moving to other states like Tennessee or, the Midwest or Texas, where things are more affordable for them to have their main hub of business, right? So I don't know much about that. I just know that that's what I've heard. But what happened for me was that in Wisconsin, some digital products are taxable. So we had to go through like nitty gritty through everything we sold in my business and basically split out what we sold after I moved to Wisconsin that was digital, and then split out what the percentage of the Wisconsin profit was. I mean, it was a total mess, my taxes last year, because we moved in like April. So like part of the year was California, part of the year was Wisconsin. So my accountant is incredible. I love her. She has helped me so much. Her name is Sandy York. I don't know if she has space, but if you reach out to her, tell her I sent you. She's under @FitMoneyCoach on Instagram. You can follow her for tips about accounting and business taxes and things like that. She was just really great with helping me through all of the legal obligations when I moved. And then also when I split the businesses out. So now Outdoor Kids OT and Therapy in the Great Outdoors are two different businesses, literally two different legal entities, different bank accounts, different staff, all of that. So that was a big thing that went on too. So, okay, I digress. Sorry, you probably don't need to know all of this, but I'm sharing my own experience here to say it's not a joke to just be like, oh, I'm horrible with finances. I don't know about money. Like, you have to learn this stuff if you're going to run a practice or a program, at least to a level, or at least have help, and at least learn it to a level where you're a little bit competent, where you understand the numbers, right? So that you can run an effective business that has money to pay people and to continue going on forever and helping more people and hopefully growing and helping more people. Okay, the last thing I have here on the list with finances is invoicing and tracking payments. So this is kind of more at the nitty-gritty admin level in your business, right? Not like, oh, make sure you meet legal requirements for your state or your government, whatever, but like really making sure that you're getting paid for the services that you provided and that you're tracking people who haven't paid, that you're following up, that you're then getting that payment, and that you have a system in place for people to pay easily. If you can reduce friction for people paying you, your business will be better off financially. So think about, from the customer side, how easy is it for people to pay you? All right. We live in a digital world. I've talked about that on this episode here with like social media and things like that. Like, we live in a digital world. Please have a way for people to easily pay you online, however that is. And I should say the same thing for intake paperwork, right? Like, paper should not be a thing in your business right now. Like, people are digitally minded. They want easy, quick ways to fill out intake paperwork, easy, quick ways to pay. And this will hurt your business if you don't have systems like this in place. So find a way for your clients to be able to do business with you easily. Like, you want to remove all the obstacles to getting money from your customers to you. All right. That is it. Mindset, operations, marketing, and finances. Now, some of you may recognize these 4 areas as the 4 business bedrocks from my Business Bedrocks group coaching program. They haven't changed. They are the same. Mindset, operations, marketing, and finances are the 4 things that every single business or program needs to get in place and needs to have systems around in order to grow as a business, in order to allow you as the business owner not to completely and utterly burn out about a year or 2 into the business, like I think every single business owner has experienced at some point in the first 3 to 5 years, maybe 2 to 5 years, maybe, of running their business. So I chose to do this episode and to review the Business Bedrocks areas here because we are opening the Therapy in the Great Outdoors Business Hive, which is what we're calling the spaces in the TGO community that have all the business content. So the Business Hive is going to be full of resources and support for you as a nature-based practice owner or program director. So if you need the business stuff from this episode that I talked about, the Business Hive is absolutely for you. It absolutely will save you time and energy and money and stress when you are growing your practice or program. So what you are going to get inside of the Business Hive is a private discussion area just for people who are running businesses or programs. Now, I think the value of this is huge because a lot of times, at least for me, I find that I have things that I deal with in business that I'm only willing to share in a smaller, more private space because I don't want to share them publicly online in some huge entrepreneur group that's a public forum with thousands of people. So we'll have a private space there for ongoing input from me and the group on different topics that you come up with and related to your business ownership. Like, you can ask for feedback there, you can vent and be frustrated. It's okay. All the emotions of the entrepreneur will be okay in this space. If you know me, you know I'm radically honest, and I hope that I create a space there for you where you can be as well, even when things are hard. So we'll have that private discussion forum, and then you also will get access to loads of templates and resources to help you in your business or program, as well as access to my entire Business Bedrocks group coaching program. This program has been raved about by the people who took it. There is going to be shortly, because I'm editing the website right now, there are loads of testimonials that you can read on the website about how impactful this program has been for other business owners. And that is going to be part of the Business Hive in the TGO community. So you will get the Business Bedrocks group coaching program And we will have weekly calls from mid-August until late November. And then again from February until early May, we will have weekly calls inside of the group for you to get business coaching from me and from other people that are inside of the TGO Business Hive. Now, when you join the Business Hive in the TGO community, you also get access to our entire TGO library, which is going to have treatment resources for you, as well as guest expert trainings for experts that we are going to bring in to speak on topics relevant to nature-based practice. Now, these are not just trainings where I invite someone to do a free thing. It is a paid expert that we pay to bring in to give a training, and then you get access inside of the TGO library. So the library is going to be the space for all of the treatment resources, printables that you can use, infographics, and the guest expert trainings. And you get access to the TGO library as well when you become a member of the Business Hive, where all the busy worker bees are working together to build something amazing. Okay, how's that for a nature metaphor? All right, that is it. We are going to open the cart for that program on the 25th of July, 2022. Now, if you're listening to this in the future, the plan right now in the business is to only open enrollment for the Business Hive and the TGO library 2 times per year. So your chance to get in is during the last week in July and the last week in January every year. So that is the plan right now. Now, I'm not promising that that's going to stay forever, but I do want to let you know, if you're listening to this right now, that is the plan. So I highly recommend getting into the Business Hive well before you want to actually launch your business. It frequently amazes me how often I hear people mention to me just in conversations, like in May, they're saying, well, I really wanted to offer a therapy camp this summer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like if you want to offer a therapy camp, you need to start in January to offer a camp in June, not May to offer a camp in July. It's like way too short of a timeline. So I want you to get the support you need to plan well, to run an effective and as automated as possible nature-based therapy practice, and to really enjoy the process. And that is what I have seen with many of the people that have come through my programs, is that being together in community to do this really helps you enjoy the process, even when you're stressed, even when things are hard, okay? Because I'm not promising that you'll never be stressed if you are in my business coaching group, but it does really help to have community around you. So that's all. I can't wait to be in community with you if you join, because I have been missing doing this program. I love running bedrocks. I love doing business coaching. And because of all the setup for the TGO community this year, I wasn't able to offer that program in the spring. So the last time I offered it, it ended last November. So I am ready to go. August 23rd is going to be our first call. We will start the bedrocks content dripping out to people on August 2nd, I believe. I can't wait to get this out to you all, because I know that it will help you so much in your nature-based practice. So that's all for this week. If this episode helped you, please will you tell me? It is really hard podcasting. I am a very social person. It is hard for me podcasting when I get no feedback about about episodes. It's a very one-sided kind of way of communicating. So tell me. I want to know. So you can reach out to me on Instagram at Laura Parkfig, or you can comment inside of the TGO community on the podcast post there. I would love to hear your thoughts, to hear how we can support you and how this community can grow and be a real place where people learn from one another about all different elements of nature-based practice. I'll see you soon inside the community. Bye. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, exploring therapy in the great outdoors. If you liked what you heard in this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes so we can share the magic of nature-based therapy with a wider audience of therapists who work with children who desperately need connection to nature nowadays, just like we do. If you're ready to take the next step in this adventure, join our free Therapy in the Great Outdoors community at therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com. The TGO community is a private space just for nature-based pediatric practitioners. We have loads of resources there to support you as you start or grow a nature-based practice or program. Our free TGO community has a discussion forum, a jobs and volunteers board, a crowdsourced treatment activities section, as well as free video trainings, research article reviews, and book recommendations from yours truly. Head on over to therapyinthegreatoutdoors.com to join today. So until next time, get outside, connect, reflect, and enjoy the business and practice of therapy in the great outdoors.